forum. I mean, and Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada in spite of the obvious difference in size.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm not to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
WESN.
Welcome back to AM Prime, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us this morning. Jumping ahead to our final conversation, I spoke earlier of this bounce mentality. I'm speaking about pedestrians and pedestrian safety. And oftentimes you see it, by the way, in respect to a prime example is by the Port of Spain market. A couple years ago, a mother and her two daughters were knocked down by a speeding vehicle driven by, I believe at that time, it was an off-duty police officer. There were protests that took place. The government built a walkover. And it seems as though nobody uses that walkover at all. That walkover exists, but it's there for the use of the public who protested it, and it's not being used. But I raised that point as an example of pedestrian safety and needing to be responsible in their everyday travels. But a part of that as well is drivers adhering to the speed limits. Speed limits is one thing, but it's driving for everyone else on the road, driver responsibility. So let's welcome back to AM Prime, the president of Arrival Live TNT, Ms. Sharon Inglefield. Good morning, Ms. Inglefield. How are you?
Good morning. Fine. Thank you. Thank you for having Arrival Live on your program this morning.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, as always. Well, that comment in respect to pedestrian safety and, of course, driver responsibility as well. TNT is seeing a number of road traffic accidents this year. And it seems quite a few of them also are not necessarily reported in mainstream media. But we have had a number of road fatalities, pedestrian fatalities, of course. What is happening across our roads in TNT? Is it road infrastructure? Is it lighting? Or is it just an ignorance of the law and the speeding limits that exist?
We believe it's all of the above. Yes, I do agree that some pedestrians have this bounce me down attitude. They don't like to use the walkovers. I certainly see it every day when I'm on the nation's roads. So I personally have that experience as well. However, infrastructure and road network also changes behavior. And for a very long time, our pedestrians have had to walk on the road because there are open manholes, there's rubble on the pavements, we now call them sidewalks, there's bush, it's very difficult. I mean, I challenge anyone to walk from home to work from home with your children to school, from home to market and back again, and see whether we can use a safe pavement. It's very, very difficult. So over time, we've practiced bad habits, and I think that has a lot to do with it, that bounce me down attitude, the lack of respect for pedestrians, the lack of respect for pedestrians for drivers, because they cross the road with that bounce me down attitude. So unfortunately, it's lawlessness, all around lawlessness. And but we can't just give up. We have to continue. And I do believe that all the research has shown us that good infrastructure, well-maintained infrastructure, changes behavior. So once again, we make an appeal this morning to pedestrians to use the sidewalks. We originally call them pavements, and to the Ministry of Works and Transport to please provide safe infrastructure for pedestrians to go to and from. I think we've counted 44 pedestrian deaths for the year. So that is over a 62% increase from last year. That's a huge increase. We have more pedestrians dying at this stage than even drivers. So it's a very, very concerning statistic. Arrive Alive does not talk from their gut. We do our research. We try to get data to support the information that we have, the opinions that we have. So we're appealing to pedestrians this morning to really be safe on the nation's roads. Look right, look left, look right again before you step off that sidewalk. Wear bright colors, make eye contact with the drivers, and don't cross unless it's safe. Cross at pedestrian crossings, very, very important. And the ministry, we appeal again for safe pedestrian crossings, well painted, thermoplastic paint, so it doesn't rub off very easily. It doesn't come off very easily. Very good paint to be used is the thermoplastic paint. Signage, lighting, rails guiding pedestrians to pedestrian crosswalks, so they're not tempted to cross anywhere other than a crosswalk. We would like to see these pedestrian crossings raised. We would like to see chicades which narrow the roads, narrow the main roads, so the traffic is forced to slow down. It's called traffic calming devices. Very, very important. We start to use traffic calming devices on our main roads where we've had these fatalities, because we've had several fatalities on main roads and some on our highways.
Any particular reasoning or research behind why more so on main roads than on highways? Is it because of more pedestrian foot traffic?
Certainly more pedestrian foot traffic. You have schools, you have businesses, you have residential, homes, you have churches, you have, in some cases, hospitals, doctors' offices, so it's a toing and froing. And if we're not making wide enough pedestrian crossings, if we're not making them more visible with proper signage, lighting, and as I say, paint, even rails to guide pedestrians to these, we're not going to change the behavior, because we've practiced bad behavior of crossing anywhere on a main road for years, so that we have to change that behavior. And it's very difficult, as you know, to change adult behavior. So we need to make a start. When we see this kind of increase, there are interventions, and it's very, very important that we make our roads more forgiving so that we're not losing lives, we're not injuring our citizens, we're not, drivers need to slow down. We need to change the speed limits in our view. In first world countries, if you travel anywhere in a first world country, especially in Europe, in Australia, in Canada, the speed limits go right down to almost 30 kilometers an hour, where you have pedestrian traffic. And that means that the cars are forced to slow down. The spot speed cameras pick them up. They're given tickets, they're given penalty points if you're not slowing down, because on these main roads with heavy pedestrian traffic, it's a disaster. So we need to slow down. Drivers need to slow down, and this is why we're making an appeal to reduce the speed limit. The community engagement is obvious. However, the community needs to be the pedestrians. The community needs to be the pedestrians when you're constructing $1 million walkover. The community needs to be the pedestrians when you're creating the crosswalk. Where's the crosswalk going? Look at the history of where people are crossing the roads, and that's where you put the crosswalk. Very, very important that we try to put the crosswalk where we have a history, where we have, you know, the pedestrian having crossed at that particular intersection or that particular part of the main road for years. So that's very important. Yes, we agree community engagement is a must.
So I know you mentioned the you know, having to review the speed limits, particularly on main roads. Reducing it is one thing, adherence is another, because you yourself just mentioned it's so difficult to change adult behavior. So let's look at the last part, enforcement. Is more needed to actually enforce the traffic laws, particularly the speed limit in Trinidad and Tobago. We see officers on the highway at times. What about on the main roads?
I agree, we need more enforcement, but the officers are, you know, are worn thin. So we also need the technology to support the officers. We need the officers, yes, out there with the breathalyzers and the speed guns, but we also would like to see the technology, long overdue, those spot speed cameras. We need the operationalization of those spot speed cameras that were supposed to be imported. And here in Trinidad, we need to see the operationalization of those spot speed cameras, because the risk increases. There's no doubt about it. When the speed increases, the risk to drivers, the risk to passengers, the risk to pedestrians, and the risk to cyclists. We've seen a number of motorcyclist collisions as well this year. We've had 5 motorcyclist collision fatalities, I should say, not collisions, fatalities. We've had many more collisions. And although there's been a decrease in biker fatalities, 5 is still too many. It means 5 more families grieving again this year. So we want to protect particularly our vulnerable road users who can't afford to buy a private vehicle, who are walking, who are cycling. We're seeing more and more men in the streets cycling every day. And therefore we want to protect the motorcyclists, the cyclists and the pedestrians by having that technology, those spot speed cameras out there, the red light camera, you know, detection at the intersections. We need to see those out there, as well as, of course, our police officers with the speed guns and the breathalyzers. Very, very important. Education is also very important, and we need to see a more robust licensing system where our drivers are taught defensive driving, risk assessment. That should all be made mandatory, both theoretical and practical. It's imperative that education is coupled with enforcement. Very, very important. And then, of course, the infrastructure, the proper planning, design, and maintenance of our nation's roads and its infrastructure.
So, I was actually about to mention education as well. That's a very important point, because all of us have a role to play in this. Not just a matter of the government and the police enforcing systems, it's a massive TNTs and our citizens, our responsibility as well. That being said, do you think that defensive driving is not mandatory at this point? So, of course, it's really upon us to take it on ourselves to do that, to get that certification. However, do you think it's something that should be made mandatory? Do you think that even things such as in-car cameras, you know, dashboard dash cams or rear view cams, is that something that also needs to be made mandatory, or should be considered at least?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the dash cams. The dash cams are great to pick up collisions and you know, and all of that. I do believe in technology, the spot speed cameras and the red light cameras, as well as the speed guns. I also do believe in education, a more robust licensing system where we teach the novice drivers from the start how to assess risks, how to drive defensively, so that even when we have someone opening a car door and you're driving along a main road, or a pedestrian running in front of a car, or, you know, a cyclist, how do we traverse the roads in the event of all the different types of traffic or the different types of distractions on the nation's road. I think it's really important we teach drivers from the very beginning how to drive defensively, So therefore, it should be part of our licensing system. And the one good thing about that penalty point system, part of it is the re-education of our drivers. So the drivers who continue to commit and break the law by driving on a priority bus route, by speeding, by driving under the influence of alcohol. We've had a lot of magistrates, thank God, sending drivers who are under the influence to re-educate themselves on the dangers of driving when you're impaired. So the courts are doing a great job of sending drive offenders for community service to Arrive Alive and for defensive driving, also to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I think that should continue. I also think the re-education of drivers through the penalty point system is another good way of enforcing our laws, because with the crime, the police cannot be everywhere. They are on the ball, and we've seen a number of DUI, drivers losing their license, which means they now have a criminal record, which is something that's very serious. It's not a ticketable offense, it's a criminal offense. So we've seen a number of DUI drivers coming to us for rehabilitation. We're hearing about them going for defensive driving courses, as well as drivers who have lost their license by the penalty point system. So there is a re-education, and I compliment the ministry with regards to that. Excellent that those two things are happening. And that's part of the laws and the policies that the ministry have brought in over the years.
So coming back to Arrive Alive TNT, at the beginning of this conversation, you mentioned that Arrive Alive doesn't speak from its gut. It does a lot of research. And the work that Arrive Alive TNT does, really, it's incredible. Hence why we welcome Arrive Alive TNT to AM Prime. That being said, are you being consulted? Is the information that you'll gather and research that is done, is it being shared and disseminated through all channels so people have an understanding and an idea? And by extension, authorities consulting Arrive Alive TNT when they do their research and they put forward proposals for solutions?
Well, we certainly can network much better. I mean, it's all a work in progress, and there is a National Road Safety Council that we have a seat on. Obviously, the ministry has a lot of work on its hands at all times with regards, transportation and all the work that they do. So certainly we can meet plenty more often. We need to be consulted more about, things like raising speed limits, because we were absolutely against raising speed limits. To raise speed limits, it means you have to have an educated driver. You have to have perfect infrastructure, in our view, before we raise a speed limit. I certainly believe that raising the speed limits was not the right thing to do. So more consultation before action is required, definitely. And we would like to meet much more with all the stakeholders. And there are many stakeholders with regards to road safety. There's the regional corporations, because they look after our sidewalks and our pavements. There's the utilities, Ministry of Utilities, with regards where they place electricity poles. If it's too close to traffic, it becomes a hazard. So there are many ministries. The Ministry of Health should be tracking this data as well, and we hope that they are. The newspapers, the media is another stakeholder where we track data, the TTPS, the Ministry of Works and Transport. So there are many, there's ATIC, the insurance industry, there are many stakeholders. I'm sure I've left out a few. And then of course we have people with disabilities and the blind, so who want to be considered with regards safe infrastructure. So that there are many stakeholders. So, it is a work in progress to get us all together, to meet regularly. But certainly, more communication is critical to save lives.
Ms. Inglefield, I really want to thank you for joining us on the program this morning. I think these conversations are necessary to drive on things. And of course, the increase in pedestrian fatalities is very, very worrisome. The year isn't over as yet. And we all share concerns in that. But for the solutions and the proposals put forward on your part and Arrive Alive TNT Sport, we thank you very much. And, hopefully we see a couple months ahead with better news as it relates to road safety. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. And I just want to say we would like to see everyone come out Sunday, November the 17th, the World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims, to walk, ride, and cycle with us at the Savannah at 7 a.m. You know, this is in memory of all those who have lost their lives and those who have been injured. So we would really like to see TNT come out in your numbers. To be educated, we're going to have lots of flyers and booklets to give away, educating the public on safe driving habits, as well as lots of fun things for their children, face painting and bouncy castle and pedestrian road safety. And, you know, with the families, we want the families to see that we care, that we genuinely care. So let's all come out in support of those who have lost their lives and those who have been injured. Sunday the 17th at 7 a.m. opposite TGIF at the Savannah.
Thank you very much for that, Ms. Inglefield, and all the very best to you and the entire team.
Thank you.
Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, that concludes this morning's edition of AM Prime. To Ms. Inglefield and the entire team at
The best laptops and tablets are at dbesttoys.com. Get a Gateway 14.1-inch Ultra Slim notebook or an HP 14-inch laptop at the best prices in TNT. Get the Fire 7 tablet for $474. You can also shop the latest Amazon Fire Sticks. Call now at 32-DBEST to order or visit us in-store at Force's flagship MacBean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Free delivery available throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Cash or links on delivery.
Do you need treatment for obesity or any related abdominal procedures? The community hospital now offers minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery done by an American-trained, board-certified surgeon with over 20 years' experience.
Give us a call at 235-5479
for more information.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist, where good private health care is affordable.
Simon's Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simon's, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lips?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
Welcome back to AM Prime, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. So the next segment that we're focusing on actually highlights some very exciting news in Trinidad and Tobago, particularly as it relates to investment in our emerging green economy. Now, to give some background as per this particular venture, oftentimes you wonder, what do athletes do beyond the realm of their sport? Off the pitch, what are they involved in? And two individuals who have represented Trinidad and Tobago at the highest level as it relates to cricket, who have represented West Indies at the highest level, have come together to launch Go Electric TT. It's a venture that focuses on electric vehicle leasing and taxi service, and it's backed by the Inter-American Development Bank. Those two individuals are Karen Pollard and Dinanath Ramnaran, both whom join me on the program this morning. So, Mr. Ramnaran, good morning and welcome to AM Prime. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, good morning to you and your viewers. Thank you for having us. Much appreciated.
And of course, Mr. Pollard is also with us. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program.
Hi, morning to all the viewers, morning to everyone.
Thanks for joining us, gentlemen. Mr. Ramnaran, let me start by asking you the thinking behind this business and the concept. Why now? Why this investment?
I think that you can ask the question, why now, or why not before, or why not later on. The timing is always, I think, is right, because the world is focusing a lot on clean energy. And when Karen and I decided a couple of years ago to talk about doing something that we believe that will have some sort of positive future we looked at many things, and one of the things that we came up with, given our experiences traveling all over the world and seeing what other countries are doing, we came up with the idea of doing something in clean energy and then in the transportation sector. So we felt that now is the right time, given that the world is transforming from the combustion vehicles into electric vehicles. We felt that Trinidad and Tobago, when we did our research, less than 1% of the population were actually using electric vehicles, while other countries have been, turning on much more. So we felt, look, it's something that we should look into. We have done a lot of research. We've met with a number of people. We interacted with and got the assistance of PwC. And then we met with the International Development Bank, and we were able to launch on December 7th. But we felt that one of the things that we needed to do is to help transform the sector, the transportation sector, and to encourage and allow people to understand why it's important for us to move in that direction. And secondly, why it is important to do it now as opposed to later on.
Mr. Paul, coming to you at the launch, the official launch on December 7th, you, of course, are saying this is about sustainability and securing the future for the next generation. Though this is about sustainability, do you believe that this is a sustainable investment? Why do you want to be a part of this movement?
Yeah, obviously it's going to be sustainable. As Mr. Ramnaran mentioned, the world is going in that direction. And at the end of it, you have to start somewhere. All right, and for us, it's very important that we start now. And when you look at it, traveling the world and you see the direction that it's heading, at some point in time, we in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean will have to get on board in order for us to, clean up our act in terms of going green and having that clean energy and being able to be a force to reckon with in terms of helping climate change in society. So it's going to be sustainable. Yes, anything that you do is risk. Just as we play cricket, we risk our lives, we risk different things at different junctures. This is an opportunity for us to take a risk and think about what's next for the future.
And coming back to you, Mr. Remre, part of this, as you mentioned also, is the support received by the IDB. Could you please tell us a bit more about that and their particular involvement in this project?
So the IDB has been very involved, and as you know, the IDB is very detailed. They go through your projects, they ensure that it is sustainable. They go through your project to make sure that it's solid, and so on. So we went through quite a number of meetings with the IDB. We had to meet a number of requirements, which we all did with the help of our partner in this project, PwC. And we were able to do that. So I think that, as Karen put it, I think it is sustainable. I think it is something that, we were very grateful for the assistance and the blessings of the IDB. Karina Corbin was the last person, head of the Trinidad and Tobago. She was very much involved and helped quite a bit with other people within the IDB sector. So it was good to get the backing of an international organization. And I think that given the fact that they believe in this project, I think there's something that, yes, there's as everything else, as Polly stated, there's going to be risk. But without risk, there's no reward. And I think that is important, for the wider society to join and cooperate people and all the public sector and so on to join and to support this project, just like the IDB has done.
Oh, wider society, corporate TNT to get involved as well. In fact, those were sentiments that were expressed by Mr. Pollard at the launch when he indicated that wherever people may go, you're welcoming everyone to get involved. Exactly. How can people get involved, Mr. Pollard? How do you want them to get involved? How do you want them to be a part of this particular movement?
Obviously, join the movement. Obviously, you have to switch from, again, at some point in time, from the combustion vehicles, in order to, eliminate, all the carbon dioxide, all these things that is being affecting the world. For us, we have a strong, sort of backing and business model. Not only, again, it's from the IDB, obviously government ministers and stuff like that, and persons who want to start to jump on board with us. So I think once the big players in the game decides to, jump on board and do change, then it's on us as well, as part of our marketing strategy, to educate the wider population and the public of the direction that we want to head. And by doing that, by educating people, that's an opportunity and a vehicle for everyone to step on board, with us. I think the education is very, very important for us. And yes, we have launched on December 7th, but in order for people to jump on board, as you're saying, we need to continue to educate them, and that's part and parcel of our business plan and project management in terms of getting persons on board going forward.
So this is not just a business for profit. You're also arguing that this is a business in terms of education and development for TNT's future.
Yeah, most definitely. Yes, you start business, yes, to make profit and to make money. But as Dinas mentioned at the start, the conversation basically started, in us trying to implement change, make a difference in our lives before, in terms of our professional lives. We were in the business of making a change and helping people to come out and, look at cricket and entertain. You have an opportunity to give back, as well on a daily basis. Persons, ask for assistance in different ways. And yes, you can go and give monetary sort of donations to persons to help, but there's other ways that you can help in a positive way, as well. And this, I think, is one of them.
Mr. Amrain, the business model that Karen Pollard is speaking of, could you please elaborate a bit further in respect to that business model and the challenges associated with conceptualizing this particular model and the difficulties involved? Surely there's no smooth road along any journey.
Well, any journey, but I think that we would have done, as I indicated earlier, a lot of research and so on, and we got into it given our experiences outside of Trinidad and Tobago. We get into it, as I say, we would have done a solid business plan and so on. And what our business model entails is that whatever money that we make in, we're going to pump back into the business to ensure it's sustainable and it's done properly and so on. So this is not a situation where we can make some money and just take the money and we just head out the road. You know, it's just something that we encouraging people, whether it's our vehicle, but it doesn't matter whether they come and they do business with us, they do the business with other people who are doing similar business. We encourage them to do it. The fact of the matter is that this is something that we believe that needs to be transformed. Somebody needs to step up. Somebody needs to do things. We can complain as much as we want about the weather. We can complain about everything. But unless people start taking personal responsibility, people start doing things that are positive and trying to put their money where their mouth is and saying, look, these are some of the things. These are some of the tangible ways in which we can make a difference. That's the thinking in our approach. And some people may call us naive, that look, we're naive in that regard. We are of the view that the transportation sector is going to change. You look at countries like Norway, for example, they have over 90% EVs at the moment within their country. These are very forward-thinking countries who believe in this process and so on. Fortunately, the government has also given incentives. For example, there are new taxes and duties on EVs at the moment, and during the last budget, the Minister of Finance also stated that there would be no taxes on chargers and so on. So there's enough incentive that is available to the wider population, and some of the people don't, and they are not aware. So we get questions like, for example, what about if I charge a vehicle, then what would I be able to, how far would I be able to go? But I can tell you with one charge, during this period of time, I went from Port of Spain to Vancouver, to Piarco International Airport, back to Vancouver, to St. Joseph, to Port of Spain, back to St. Joseph, and back to Port of Spain in one charge. So people of the view, we are just a very small country, and therefore the range is quite good. So it's there, but the education is not there, and we too ourselves, we were alarmed. But what about when rain falls? Would you be able to drive the vehicle? These are some questions that we were being asked, and so on. So it's an education, and we know it's a process, a slow process, but we are in for the long haul, and we're both young. Well, certainly Pollard is. But, we want to try to push things along and educate people and so on. As I say, they don't necessarily have to take vehicles from us, but they could take from others as well.
Well, there certainly is still quite a bit of hesitancy, as you pointed out, in respect to electric vehicles in Trinidad and Tobago. But I take it that both you gentlemen have personally invested in EVs, Mr. Ranrine, from your story. Mr. Pollard, you as well, you've personally invested in electric vehicles.
Yes, yes, I have. So, again, it's not one, as you said, that we're just going to say something, put out press releases, do different things, and not walk the talk. For us, it's very, very important. And again, from a personal investment perspective, we're able to put out some financial cash and gain one for ourselves. And again, to be honest, it's actually a lot more economical as well than the gas combustion vehicles. So, saying it, doing it, believing in it, I think is what the direction that we want to head in. So we continue to encourage persons to get educated. We're going to try to educate as much as possible. So all the doubts and the queries that you have, but I can safely say I am very, very happy personally in driving electric vehicles and doing the driving for a change.
Quite economical as well. In fact, if you know Mr. Pollard, he's all about economical, because he even once highlighted the story of buying a pair of jeans with his good friend Dwayne Bravo, and the fact that he just put back the jeans before he went to the cash register.
Again, everything you gotta be smart. You gotta look at if it's gonna make sense for you. And you drive and you work hard at times, and sometimes you want to drive luxurious vehicles, but it's gonna cost you a lot. In the end, But in this aspect of it, the government have given opportunities for us to be smart. And again, when you have the opportunity to actually use it, you'll understand very well as what we are saying, that it's going to help your pockets on a daily basis, and it's going to help you enjoy a lot more things in life.
So not to jump the gun too much, gentlemen, but this business was launched on December 7th, as you mentioned. It's been in the works for some time because I've read about this previously. But Mr. Paul, any thoughts of expanding beyond just Trinidad and Tobago to the wider Caribbean? Any thoughts on that as yet? Any plans that have been mentioned in respect to that?
I think thoughts and plans are there. As I said at the start, is not only for Trinidad and Tobago, but the wider, Caribbean as well. And, the help of, the IDB, as well, and the knowledge and also the help of the government, it will encourage us to go wider than Trinidad and Tobago. When you look at it, like you said, Karina is the head of the IDB. At one point in time, she's from Jamaica, so she understands where we're going, and she will fully back in it. Julian, who's now the head of the IDB for Trinidad and Tobago as well, he's from Barbados, and he's someone who's very, very interested in it as well. So the support is there from that side in order for us to expand. But as I said, we want to make sure that we do it right and do it properly first. So we're going to ensure that in Trinidad and Tobago, we set it up properly. So when we head over to the Caribbean and the wider Caribbean, we know exactly what it entails and what it takes in order to continue to push this drive, of the LNG.
Mr. Ramnain, during the launch, investments in a company called Blue Coast was mentioned, but I know very little about Blue Coast. Could you tell us more about that company and why both you and Mr. Paul have also invested in Blue Coast?
Blue Coast is a company that is really designed to measure the carbon footprint within companies and so on. So we thought that when we were looking at the opportunity came our way, and when we got the opportunity, both of us said, look, it's in keeping with what we are actually trying to promote. And we felt that it was good for us to invest. Monty Pemberton, who's the co-founder and chairman of that company, is someone who is very knowledgeable, very well respected in the industry, and somebody we have tremendous confidence in. He and other guys like Frank and Nicholas and all those guys who are involved are fellas who we strongly believe in. They're all champion in the industry, and people who we believe that we would want to align ourselves with in terms of what they're trying to do. So when we look at it, we felt that it was something that we were aligned with, and that's how we got involved. But I think that Monty will be speaking a lot more on Blue Coast's agenda and what their plans are and so on, as we continue to launch, because it's a new company and we continue to transform that industry,
Indeed. In respect to this business, I'd come back to you, Mr. Pollard, and pushing this business and marketing. We want to hear a lot more. So what are the plans for marketing and pushing this more to the public?
Well, one of the things, sorry, go ahead.
It's two business partners involved, but both gentlemen are open to answer the question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, one of the things we are doing is we started having strategic meetings with corporate Trinidad and more personalized and answering their questions and trying to get a feel of what it is that they're looking at and what it is that we can offer and so on. During the Christmas period, obviously, when we launched, when we went straight into the Christmas period, so I would say that the response has been quite positive, but we will continue to push on and as I say, try to educate people so that we can answer their questions and meet more in a strategic way to explain to them what it is we are doing, what it is we have to offer, the time frame and so on. Because as I say, people need, even the corporate and all those people who want to go in that direction, is quite good, it's quite positive. But they want to be able to be reassured of certain things. And I think we have been trying to do that over this period of time, and we'll continue to do that. So that is the idea of having more personal conversations with key corporate, educating them as to what we're offering, the benefits of what we're offering. Like, for example, many companies say they spend like $4,000 or $5,000 a month on gas, for example. we've had electric vehicles for quite several months now, and we've saved up that money. So in a house alone, both my wife and I drive electric vehicles, and we've saved must be, every month we save at least $3,000-4,000. It works up after a year. It will work up to be about $48,000-50,000, and so
That's
on, probably more.
incredible. Wow.
So it's a considerable amount of money that you save, right? And as you know, that electricity in our country is probably the cheapest in the world. At least comparable to the cheapest in the world. So therefore, we have the opportunity to utilize that and the benefit of that, and so on. So when you look at these savings, you look at what it is that you're getting, and in terms of the service on the vehicle. I mean, knock on wood, we haven't spent any money servicing the vehicle. Even though we've had it for, in some cases, my wife's vehicle is probably about 8 months, and my vehicle is about 4 or 5 months. So we haven't had the opportunity to service, and so on. So it's quite, whereas the combustion vehicles, it requires regular servicing and changing of parts and so on and so forth.
So even when it comes to the maintenance, that's a key factor as well. As you mentioned, maintenance seems to be a lot easier. Mr. Paul, anything you'd like to add to that?
I think you just covered it. But I said, as you go into the maintenance is very minimal. Obviously, we know when we use combustion vehicles every 5,000 kilometers, they require you to go and have a service, and you spend what, $600 to $1,200, to service. As he alluded to, he has it 4 or 5 months. He hasn't spent $1 on it. His wife 8 months haven't spent $1. So even if you do that sort of small maths, that's about $4,000, $5,000 you'd have saved already as well. But you're still able to capture all that you want to do in terms of driving and getting to where you want to get, using your vehicle. So again, for us, we look at all the aspects, and again, that's one of it. In terms of the marketing as well, getting into corporate Trinidad and, having the personalized conversations, and then eventually part and parcel of it is having hopefully a couple of seminars, for the public, where you can invite people so you can understand, where we're going and what we're trying to achieve. So we're taking it in sort of small steps and small dosages in order to, when guys and persons come and they understand, they have a clear idea and a clear picture of where we want to take this venture.
Indeed. And as we are getting to the close of this particular conversation, Mr. Ramrine, where can people get more information from? I know some information is available on the IDB's website, but in respect to Go Electric TT itself, is information at this time available to the public and to corporate Toronto?
People could call, obviously, I think everybody in Trinidad have my phone number, so they can call me directly. And obviously, info@goelectrictt.com. They can send an email and we are based in 17 Delhi Street. Our offices are on 17 Delhi Street, Port Spain. That's where we had the launch, and that's where we are located. So people could actually drive and come and visit us and so on, and they're able to see the cars that are available for leasing and so on. So yeah, but we're easily accessible. Anybody could find anybody in Trinidad and Tobago, right? So it's and more and more we will start putting out more information on social media and so on, that people would be able to easily access us.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you both for joining us on the program this morning. Thank you very much for your investments into Tobago. I mean, you all have given so much to Tobago already, but continuing on that path and investments into our emerging green economy. Thank you very much for setting the trend indeed. To you, Mr. Pollard, and to you, Mr. Ramrine. Incredible on your part. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us.
So, gentlemen, just to stay with us for a moment in the chat. We have some stuff to discuss. But ladies and gentlemen, of course, once more, congratulations to all involved in this particular project, and of course to Mr. Ramrine and to Mr. Pollard for their investment and spearheading this initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, we take a break here on AM Prime. We will return shortly. Stay with us.
Simon's Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simon's, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
The best for your baby is at thebesttoys.com. From the best strollers, car seats, baby carriers, high chairs, booster seats, rockers, jumpers and bouncers, walkers, baby blankets, feeding accessories, bathtubs. Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship McLean. Shop online now at thebesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 332-BABY. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
Folks, we're back and better than ever.
Your show have always appeared to be a show that is focused on going to the cause or looking to the cause.
We hardly ever talk about the white-collar crime, though. We always talk about the ones that involve more as physical violence against individuals.
The citizens will only measure transmission when water starts to flow through their taps.
The Constitution doesn't talk about local election.
Contract mafia that's responsible for looting the country and they own and operate these politicians.
So if you are running a country and you can't say nothing as a prime minister, please take up your bag and go.
It is not comparative to the murder figures, but it is in fact very high.
I believe he's protecting certain individuals.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God, so we kind of at a stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's being the victim,
right,
or the man is being the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI, worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Now you don't need to register nothing. You don't need. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
They believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
Between the Bank and the Gutter, a novel about street dwellers in Port of Spain. This is a book to make you both laugh and cry. Above all, it takes you to that special space that only street dwellers know. In this moving and riveting human interest story, Harry journeys from insanity to sanity while living on the streets of Port of Spain. Now available at Metropolitan Books, 12 Aripita Avenue, Woodbrook. Paper-based bookshop, 14 Alcazar Street, Woodbrook. WESN, 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook. And the home store branches located at Barataria, Shogunas, and East Gates Mall. Autographed copies now available on request. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh. I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People, and Closer to the Church.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being with us this morning as we continue the conversation. We're really focusing on lots on education in particular this morning, and we are all learning a lot. I've learned a lot from our last conversation, and I'm pretty sure I'm about to learn a lot more because we're speaking about Special Economic Zones. Special Economic Zones Act of Tobago 2022 was actually fully proclaimed earlier this year. A statement from the Ministry of Trade and Industry at that time explained that the new Special Economic Zones regime represents a holistic investment framework which aims to attract local and international investment. But exactly what are Special Economic Zones? How do they work? Exactly what are the benefits associated with such that aims to attract such investment? I'm joined this morning by a gentleman who is familiar to us here on the program. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Special Economic Zones Authority, Mr. Stephen DeGans. Good morning, Mr. DeGans, and welcome back to AM Prime. It's good to see you.
Hi, good morning, Gitan. Yeah, good to see you as well. Haven't seen you for a little while, so good to be here working with you and promoting what we do now. So, hi.
Sometime. So thanks for being with us this morning. Mr. Gans, I'll start by asking exactly what are special economic zones? We've heard this term floating around, but not everyone is necessarily aware of exactly what they are.
Well, Gitan, it's you've heard of free trade zones in the past, correct? Where
Yes.
you are allowed to bring things in duty free and you're allowed to sell them out of the country and you have to maintain a certain number of exports. Trinidad had a period of having a free trade zone environment regime. Unfortunately, it is an unfair trading practice. It's recognized as an unfair trading practice worldwide. And if we're going to be able to play on the world scale, which is obviously where our markets have become, we need to get in line with what is allowed so that we can, participate. So economic zones are a little bit different in that they do have a measure of taxation. So there's no unfair taxation that's being executed there. And if you are in an economic zone, you still get some of the benefits that allow you to be prosperous, that help you to be more productive and allow you to be get a little gain on things if you're trying to be in an environment that you need a little help with. So for our economic zones in Trinidad, what we are encouraging companies, new investment in and employment, if they're creating employment, we're looking for that type of, that type of group. We're looking for companies that are coming in here, whether they're foreign or local, and they will come to these economic zones or create a special economic zone of their own, which we will give them a license for. And then they get tax breaks on customs duties coming in, VAT coming in as well. And then they also get a reduction in their corporation tax. So we're looking at, as I said before, trying to encourage investment into the country, whether it be foreign investment or local investment. And we're just trying to create employment for the people in Trinidad and Tobago.
That being said, for clarification, you said it repeals the refusal, but is the special economic zones, is it a geographical location in itself?
Well, that's a great question because that's something we get all the time. You do have some areas that are geographic in that, well, every economic zone must be a geographic location, but there are some that we are looking to create that will be existing, and we'll hear more about it after the budget because it will be announced in the budget. But there will be some areas that are going to be created by Ministry of Trade and the government as economic zones physically. So there will be some areas that are demarcated, especially as economic zone. They're going to be designated as economic zones. But if you have a large business or you'd like to set up a large business on a virgin piece of territory, maybe in Charlieville, there's a piece of land that you want to set something up, maybe a manufacturing company or something like that. You can apply to the Special Economic Zone Authority for that area to be designated as a zone, and then you become a single zone enterprise. We call the businesses that operate in these economic zones enterprises. So you'll be given the designation of a single zone enterprise where you'll be participating by doing one of 12 different items. In the act, you'll see the 12 different items, but they can be manufacturing, agro-processing, fishing, energy, renewable energy development. There are 12 different manufacturing and distribution, lots of different areas, 12 actually. And you can set up a separate business off of one of the designated zones, and that will allow you to have that area through an application to us as a designated zone, and you receive all the benefits of the SEZ, Special Economic Zones.
What about businesses previously under the Free Zones Act? How do they now transition to the Special Economic Zones?
Well, that's a statement that comes up, and there's no transition. That's not to say that you won't be allowed to be in the special economic zones, but there's no transition, automatic transition from the free trade zone into the economic zone. You really do need to fill out a new application. You do go there, you fill it out, and you go through the process. As I said before, the criteria would be one of two things. Well, actually, both of two things. One would be the level of investment that you're putting out, and it would be guided by over the next 2-year period. And because, as you mentioned, it was Special Economic Zone Act of 2022, that was when it was first put forward. It was fully proclaimed on the 5th of July, 2024. But nevertheless, we're giving businesses who were starting that the opportunity to talk about their investments over the last 2-year period, and that would be considered part of their investment going into the economic zone. So for the period, you're actually getting 4 years to tell us what your investment has been instead of 2 years, which is what we really would look someone that's coming in business now. And yes, you can be considered the economic zone after that period, provided you're doing both of two things. One, the investment, and that will determine whether you're a small, medium, or large enterprise, or even a single zone enterprise, or even an operator, which we'll talk about right after this. And it'll also be predicated by the number of people that you're employing. If you're employing one person, well, it's a little harder to get an economic zone status for one person, whereas if you're looking for 50 people to provide employment for in Trinidad, then you can have a greater chance of becoming an economic zone enterprise.
Mm-hmm. Now, you just mentioned a couple of terms there, which you spoke. Yes, if you will, you know exactly what I'm going to go on.
I did say some things in there that I said I would come back to. There are 3 types of applications we're looking to give licenses for. One would be an enterprise where you are operating on an existing economic zone designated area. And I'll just give you an example. Let's say someone came along, let's say we designated an e-tech park, for instance, in Tamina Park, which was really done for technology and education in that area. If we were designating that area as an economic zone, and I had an industry that I wanted to set up in that area, then I would be an enterprise because I'm operating in an existing economic zone. The second one, which we briefly spoke about, would be a single zone enterprise, where if I had a huge building and I decided I wanted to fill that with a call center that was doing outbound calling for the US or inbound receiving calls and doing different things for world status or world production, answering questions and things like that, a technology center or a business product center, as it's called, BPUs, then I would set that up, or I would apply to have that set up as a single zone, because it's no longer inside of one of the designated zones. So that area is now designated as a zone, and then the enterprise that is operating in that zone is now considered a special economic zone, a single zone enterprise. And then there's a third level of investment that you can make where I decide I have a piece of land and I want to apply to the authority to operate a special economic zone, which would be similar to what I just mentioned in the e-tech area. So that area now would then, I apply to the town and country planning for a business type environment or a business park, whether it be manufacturing or anything like that. And I then ask them for economic zone status. I'm granted that. And then the people who come in to use that facility will automatically be allowed into an economic zone. That doesn't mean they will be an enterprise. They must complete the application to also become an enterprise that is going to be operating in that zone. But they're now in a protected area or an economic zone. And then when they operate in there, they just have to get the economic zone license, the enterprise license, so that they can be able to benefit from the reduction in taxes and the VAT, as well as the corporation tax reduction.
But in that regard, what is the overall benefit to Trinidad and Tobago? How does this actually give some sort of benefit to our economy?
Well, there are a couple of ways. First of all, I am going to be encouraging investment. We hear it from the Minister of Finance, and we even heard it from the Prime Minister recently, where he talked about people having money in their accounts and they're not doing very much with it. Not quite sure how he would have received that information, but nevertheless, he has maybe has a feeling that there's a lot of money that's not being circulated in Trinidad. And when money works, then you get the benefits of it. If it's kept in a box under your mattress or kept somewhere, it's not really benefiting the whole country. So he's really trying to encourage locals to spend the money to generate some activity in the economy. That's one way. Of course, secondly, we're looking for foreign direct investment. Trinidad has had foreign direct investment, but primarily in the energy sector. The special economic zones are going to try to encourage people to invest in other areas besides the energy, because this is actually not aimed for energy companies. This is aimed for other companies in, like one of these, I said 12 different areas that are coming in here in non-energy sector type environments. So we're encouraging investment from local or foreign, and of course the foreign will be bringing US dollars. So we're having a little strain on getting US currency at the moment. This will encourage that type of investment into Trinidad as well. So that's the major thing, investment. The second area that it benefits the country is employment. If I come in here and I'm looking to employ 100 people or 200 people or 50 people or anything like that, that's 50 less people or 100 less people who are unemployed. And the money is coming in from another source, or it's built on money that's being out of exports or out of production in general. So I am now not just investing in the country and earning profits, but I'm also employing people and helping them in their own families. So that's the two-edged benefit of the economic zone. And of course, there are lots of other smaller benefits to the country. For instance, as I said, in the event that you're exporting, you're going to be earning US dollars. In the event that we get foreign direct investment, that's also US dollars. So, or foreign dollars anyway. It could be UK, it could be anywhere else out of the world, really. So anything like that is bringing foreign currency into the country, which is beneficial, and of course, employing people in the country as well. We also look for the type of person who's raising the standard of the type of employment. So there's basic employment where you're just doing a normal cottage industry type in, small, low-level skills. We're hoping that we can attract, because of our labor pool being quite educated labor pool and skilled, we're hoping we can attract a slightly higher level of employment as well. So it will not just be a labor pool of basics, but people who will be able to do far more than that. And that will also allow you to upskill and learn and train and, all the benefits of the good type of education and that we've been having in Trinidad. We're also going to try to reward that by getting good jobs for those people as well.
Have we already seen the benefits of special economic zones and those impacts? Have we already seen that happening in TNT?
Well, yes, but let's go back to the 80s. You remember you might be too young to remember the 80s. You might say,
I can talk to you 80s music, but nothing else.
Yeah, so in the 80s, we were, there was a time when we were really good on our production. We were not allowed to import very many things. We didn't have the foreign exchange to import very many things. So when we opened up the markets, that changed, but we had to survive ourselves. So a lot of companies went into manufacturing and export. And back in those days, you could go to any Caribbean islands and then eventually in the US and UK and see our products on shelves in groceries. So it was very encouraging. In fact, it was a little disappointing sometimes, because sometimes when you did manage to get a trip out of the country and you went away, when you went foreign, you looked to try and buy some of the products that you were not accustomed to seeing. But if you went to a lot of the Caribbean islands, you just saw all our products on their shelves. So it's kind of like, well, it's the same thing I get at home. Where's the variation? But it speaks to how the manufacturing sector did so well at that time of our lives. And we were really producing a lot. We also had the foreign direct investment coming in to the Point Lisas area, which was being developed. And that was also where we were getting a lot of gas, and we were spending money and getting investments in there, producing methanol, producing nitrogen, things like that. So that was a growth period of Trinidad. So we did see, not an economic zone, but those people did get tax breaks and they did get benefits at the time. We have not had the economic zone in Trinidad until July 5th. That's when we started really being allowed to have, well, it was then proclaimed. So that's when they did the actual the whole being allowed to be in an economic zone came to pass. We have a couple applications in hand, and we should be giving out licenses fairly soon. The whole process takes about 10 weeks, 3 months kind of thing to get an economic zone license. By the time we look at your application and pass through all the different various bodies, we have to go to the town and country, we have to go to the EMA, we have to make sure that your application is as it says, and it's not going to be causing problems to Trinidad in the long run. So once we do that, you get your license and you continue your development until there's a time when you can produce. You can start hiring people in the case of a business process organization. You can start building your buildings so that you can get the tax breaks. You can start importing your machinery and things like that in the case of manufacturing or production. So you get those things, but you need to have the license before. If you don't have the license, then you won't get the tax breaks at the border. So we don't have any in Trinidad as yet. We're looking to license some people, hopefully in the next maybe couple of weeks. And if that's the case, then we should start seeing the benefits. And one of those people is looking to hire quite a few Trinidadians. So that will be a good help to some of our university students because they're looking for slightly skilled people, not top of the line graduates, but certainly people who have had a formal education.
Well, that's excellent. So we see the potential that exists there also for development. But you also mentioned 10 weeks. That's actually quite good. It also speaks to the ease of doing business. This is something that will lead to more productivity and efficiency.
Yes. So we are trying really hard to make sure that we do not keep back the business process. We want to make sure that people can get these licenses quickly. So we encourage you, if you are going to be trying to get a license from the Special Economic Zone, there's a TT BizLink site that you go to, you type in SEZA, which would be Special Economic Zone Authority, and you'll be given the application form. I also encourage anybody who is interested in becoming an economic zone license holder to please read the act. It's about 50 or 60 pages, but please read the act so you can see the benefits, you can see the type of business that you would like to apply for the license of, and then you'll be able to determine whether you really are really a good candidate for a license. Because not everyone should be an economic zone like enterprise. Some people really do not need the benefits. I mean, everybody wants to get reduced taxation, everybody wants to get VAT and customs duty off, but maybe in your case, it's not something that would really long-term benefit your organization, because there are some stipulations as well. We do require that you give us some more information about your business on an ongoing basis. Every 6 months, you need to supply your financials, and we have to make sure that you're staying on top of your business product, your business plan that you would have submitted to us in the very start. There are fees associated with the economic zone, but they're not anything as large as the customs that you'd be saving or the VAT that you would be not claiming anymore. So there are some benefits, but there are some fees. So in a case where you're borderline, you may not really want to be going through all the additional rigors that you have to do just to be able to be a special economic zone. You're not saving that much in some cases. So, and you're not providing employment, so you probably will not get an economic zone license in a case like that. So those are the real things we're looking for: investment and employment, both of them.
And just to clarify, just to get up, it has to be known that not every business will be eligible to participate in the SEZ regime, and this is just based off of what you just said.
Yeah, definitely not every business would be eligible, but more than that, not every business would want to be in a special economic zone. Just because you're looking at the reduced taxation, or just because you're looking at the benefits of reduced customs. For instance, let me give you an example. We can set this up for small people. We don't want to disenfranchise any of the businesses in Trinidad that want to make an investment. So we are allowing small businesses to join as well. So there is an economic zone type, and then you can go into one of the enterprise locations and specially designated locations, and you can set up a business inside of there. But if you're making so little that, yes, you have a reduction in tax, but your now requires you to submit certain forms on a biannual basis, so not biannual, rather, well, twice a year actually. So semi-annually, you have to submit these bits of business, your financials and things like that to the authority, and have us go through the compliance to make sure that you're doing what you say you're going to do. You may not want to have something like that, and the benefit to you may be so small you decide that it really doesn't make sense, because our entry in that case could be as small as making $250,000 a month. That would be your sales for the month. Sales of $250,000, sorry, for the year, $250,000 for the year, which works out to be $20,000 a month. For a really small business, that's great, but for an average size business, that's really very small. So if you were to come in there, theoretically speaking, a doubles vendor could very well be making $20,000 a month in products that they sell. Do they really want to be in an economic zone? No, that's not really for them. They don't want the paperwork. They don't want to apply for things like that. They may not even be declaring tax in some cases, and I'm not condoning that, but I'm just saying this is something that may happen. So you don't really want to be in an economic zone in a case like that. But we do cater for it for businesses that start small with plans to grow larger. So if I wanted to start with a business that was doing $250,000 and maybe hiring 20 people, but then I have dreams and plans in the next 3 years that I will grow to $1 million a year in turnover and have 50 people employed, I definitely would like to have you in this zone because you're looking to grow and employ people.
Hence why submitting the business plan is important. Hence why submitting your financials is important. Because
exactly. So we need to see where you're going, not just where you are right now, but where you're going in the next couple of years. And we want to encourage that growth because we want businesses to thrive. We want them to do really well and grow because that's how the country grows.
Mr. DeGans, once more, if you can, just relay where people can get more information, please. I know that you mentioned TT BizLink. If you can just once more stress that point.
Right. So we have two ways of getting the information. I think you might be hearing my police blow outside, and I'm hoping they're not hearing it.
No, we're not. You're good.
Oh, good. So we have two ways of getting the information. What we can do is one of two ways. One, go on to you can actually just go onto the internet and type SEZA, Special Economic Zone Authority. We call it ourselves CEZA. And you can just type that into Google and you will get you'll get the information on the special economic zones as well as the application forms, which you can download depending on one of the three categories. One would be an enterprise in a location. One is a single zone where you're operating outside of one of the designated areas. And the third would be an operator. So you can do that. You can go into there. I would encourage everyone to read the act as well so that you can see what the benefits are and you can see what some of the regulations would be. And then there's a third way, which is to call the office, which is 226-5593. Also, that number is also on the internet. You will be able to see that number, to see that that's a number to call to get additional information. But it really would be best if you look at the information before calling in so that you have some idea of what you're looking to try and achieve. And you'll know some educated questions we'll be very happy to help you with. But if you're calling us to find out the absolute basics, well, then it is going to take a little bit longer. So it is better if you educate yourself a little bit before you call in to find out the details. But those are the two best ways to find out about it.
Indeed. Mr. DeGans, I want to thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. Thank you very much for your time and all the very best to you, to the entire team at CEZA. We appreciate your time and efforts, and we look forward to more good things to come.
Thank you very much. I look forward to building some business in Trinidad as well. We need a boost in our economy. It's always nice to get an injection every now and then. And I hope that the CEZA can help that for the country's benefit. And of course, looking for employment. We don't want to have people just idly sitting by. We want to have them employed and feeling productive as well. So thanks a lot for the opportunity for allowing me to promote this, to talk about CEZA's opportunities on air.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much. All the very best.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all share Mr. DeGans' hopes as well. We all want to boost our economy, and we certainly hope that CEZA leads to such. It is only something that we can hope for, but the work that is being done to lead to such, we can only champion. And again, it's always very good to have an idea of what is taking place. I myself was not necessarily fully aware of exactly what special economic zones are. So you see, we learn a lot. But if you want more information as to whether or not a special economic zone license could benefit you, or whether or not you're eligible for it, you can visit. Just Google, as Mr. DeGans said, SEZA, CEZA, the Special Economic Zones Authority. where you can get more information, and you should really act. The act is available online. It's the Special Economic Zones Act 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we end AM Prime. It has been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining me on the program this morning. Thank you to all my guests for their presence and for their time. And ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed the program, and we hope you have a very good day ahead. To my team at WESN in Ryan, Gomezburg, and Milewood, thank you very much for your continued hard work and efforts in ensuring that AM Prime goes live every day. To Naomi McNish, who's our news anchor, but also the producer of AM Prime, thank you very much for your time and hard work as always. I'm Keaton Shaw, reminding you today is a good day to have a good day, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Stay tuned for Talking Points after this break.
WESN.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus.